Hello, Chevra. Welcome. Welcome to Opining on Olam Haba, an offshoot of the Mashiach Musings course, where we discussed concepts of what's going to be in the Messianic era, how things are going to be different, what things will be the same. And I think, this brings us into sort of what else do people think about? Do we think about, that we don't really know that much about? And I'm not saying I know that much about it either, but we rely on whatever sources we have that deal with it, particularly the Rambam, who is super helpful in all of this. And that is Olam Haba, right? We think about Olam Haba. We talk about Olam Haba. What is it? What does it mean? If you noticed, I named the WhatsApp course opining hashtag Olam Haba. Two reasons. Number one, you could only fit a very finite amount of words in a title. So, I was playing with it, but really hashtag Olam Haba, it's like, we always think about it. We always talk about it, right? Who says, in Olam Haba, the Olam HaEmes, the next world, the coming world, the world of truth. That's why we're doing Hayom La'asosam, U'machlo Kabel Scharim. Today is for us to do the mitzvot, and the next world is to receive. What is it? What is Olam Haba? How do we understand it? What do Jews believe about Olam Haba? Is it, everyone has a mansion or something? There's some story about, I think it's they say, after 120 years, Bobby Valentine, the great manager of the Mets, he goes to Olam Haba and he gets into heaven and he sees that he has, this nice little house in Olam Haba, and it's very sweet and wonderful. And, he sees a Mets flag, there. He says, look, you see, everyone said that the Mets fans, that they all have it so bad. Look at my nice house. I have a Mets flag. Amazing. And then he looks, across the street and he sees this giant mansion. And he looks and says, man, whose house is that? And God, the angels look at him and they say, oh yeah, that's Joe Torre's house. Even in Olam Haba, the great Yankee manager, obviously. But what does that mean? Really? So it all starts, with the Mishnah in the Sanhedrin. Okay, there's a parak in Sanhedrin called Chelek, right, which literally discusses who has a share in the coming world. Kol Yisrael yesh lem chelek la'olam haba. Every Jew has a share in the coming world. By the way, I could give a shiur just about this alone. The reality that every Jew has a share in the coming world, right? All of us. But if you use the stadium analogy, what does that mean? So then why bother? If I have a share, I'm good, right? I do whatever. How many of us, do things that are mitzvot that we don't even realize, right? We helped someone, who was in a tough time. We gave good advice. We were good to our parents. We uttered a prayer. We uttered a tefillah. We said a bracha, whatever, little things we don't even think about. Then yet we do it, right? So they say that afilu poshe Yisrael, even the most wicked person within Israel, a wanton sinner, a Jew, is filled, malay mitzvahs karimon, is filled with mitzvot like a pomegranate, right? Because there are so many mitzvot we just do them unknowingly, whether we're observant or we're not observant. We still do certain things. There's so many things that qualify as mitzvot. So kol Yisrael yesh lem chelek l'olam haba. So why bother? Well, using the stadium analogy or the baseball analogy or football or whatever, right? Well, it's really, the difference between, being in box seats. And literally, I remember being in box seats watching my dad had a friend who was friendly with the announcer for the Milwaukee Brewers, Bob Uecker. I'm sure you heard of Bob Uecker from the movie Major League. And he got us literally front row seats when the Mets played the Brewers. And I'll never forget this. I remember seeing Pedro Martinez pitch, who was this incredible gadol of pitching. And I literally could see the movement of the baseball. I could see the rotation on his curveball. It was amazing. Godless. Amazing. But, there's sitting box seats, and then there's sitting in the nosebleed section where you're in the stadium, but it's a different experience, right? And then there's box seats, and then there's the field level, and then there's mezzanine, and then there's all the way. Where do you want to be in Olam Haba? what you want the experience to be. By the way, we could understand it now. Do you want it to be like Zoom? Do you want it to be like a video like this? Or, don't you love seeing my punim, really face to face, right? I want to be live with you. I don't want to be talking into a phone right now. And you don't want to, it's something, Baruch Hashem, it's something, and you're being Mekayim, and you're gaining your Olam Haba by being a part of this shir. But it's not the same. That's really Kol Yisrael. Yes, every Jew has a share in the coming world, but the question is, how deeply will you be experiencing that chelik in Olam Haba, right? What will the whole experience be like? What will the atmosphere be like? What will the depth of that experience be like? That's up to us. Okay, that's very nice. And there's a pasuk, Shnemar v'amech kulam tzadikim la'olam yirshu aretz, as it says, your nation, they're all holy, they're all righteous. They will inherit the earth meaning Olam Haba. Not this world, but the next world. Because nothing is for sure. Nothing is for certain. And the Rambam's going to talk about this now. So the Rambam uses the beginning of this Mishnah, where it talks about everyone has a share in the coming world. Then it starts talking about people who don't have a share in the coming world. Right? And it lists, a whole bunch of really, really bad people. I'll tell you people who don't have a share. The people that stormed the Capitol and made a mockery of our democracy today. They, I think their share in the coming world is very much in doubt. Different story. But either way, let's move into it. So the Rambam uses this as a launching point, a launching pad for discussing Olam Haba in his Perusha Mishnayos, in his commentary on Mishnah. And he says as follows. So we're in chapter 10, Halacha Aleph 1. Here we go. Kol Yisrael Yeshem Chek. Ra'iti ledaber. Bekan bi'ikarim rabim be'emuna gedolim nichbadim admod. He said, I feel like I want to talk about this. And by the way, Rambam is in his younger days when he wrote the Perusha Mishnayos. He's like, I really want to talk about these important principles, which we have great faith. And, it's really a part of a fundamental part of who we are, is the belief in Olam Haba. I want to talk about it. What does it mean? What is it? What is it? He says, we have to know that so many commentators, so many rabbis, so many sages, there's dispute over what exactly is the good that will come to a person after we do the mitzvot. Like we said, hayom lasotam l'machal lekaber scharam. Right? I'm not guaranteed because I do mitzvos that I'm going to have an amazing olam hazeh, an amazing this world. Right? It's for the next world. Right? Again, very difficult for us to understand. Well, so what is it? What's that tova? What's that goodness? Shetzivonu b'hem Hashem yisbarach ha'idei Moshe Rabbeinu alav hashalom. U'berah shetimtza oto k'sheyavor aleim. So if we do the mitzvos, what good do we get? And what bad do we get when we transgress? And we do averos, God forbid. Machlokos rabos me'od. Lifi shtanu sichleim. He said there are so many different ideas and ideologies and conceptions of exactly what this is based on, sort of the differences in their minds. He's essentially saying there's so many erroneous misconceptions about Olam Haba. V'nivshtabshu behem asvaros, shibush gadol. And there's all these different rationales, all these different approaches, these ideas are totally mistaken. Huge mistakes. Achet kimat lo timsam b'shum panim adam shenizbar lo davar zeh, v'lo timsa bo davar muchlat l'shum adam ela b'shibush gadol. To the point where, in any way, shape, or form, someone will try to explain it, and they become like greatly confused, where it just seems very unclear. You'll not find a definitive thing about it with any person. Right? Everyone's just, I think it's this or it's this. It's contradictory. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do, says the Rambam. I'm going to go step by step. We're going to go through a few ideas that are erroneous misconceptions. Kat Rishona. There's one group of people, Soveraki Atova Hu Gan Eden, that the ultimate goodness, that's Gan Eden, it's the Garden of Eden. And what's Gan Eden? What's the Garden of Eden? It's a place where you eat and you drink and you don't have to worry about, the food is just going to come. It's like constant, it's a feast. Ubli yagia v'sheyesh l'sham batim avanim tovot, and you have these beautiful mansions, right? Joe Torre gets one, Bobby Valentine gets one. Umito mutzot b'meshi, and you'll have silk couches, v'naharot moshchot yayin, and you'll have rivers, not of water, rivers of wine, ushmanim mivusamim, and rivers of fragrant oils. The harbei dvarim mizeh amin. So it's like basically, it's the physical world, the ultimate hedonistic pleasures of all of the physical world in the next world. I mean, you don't have it here, you've it in the next world. Sounds, by the way, a little bit like, I don't know, think about Islam, right? Where they say, okay, when thank God we don't believe Ain Hara have suicide bombers that much, thank God, anymore in Israel, right? Right, where they said, oh, you'll kill yourself and then you'll get, 70 virgins or something. What does that mean? What? We look at that and we're like, what? That's physical. That's not. That's crazy. It just doesn't make any sense. But that's the way some people understand it. And he says that, well, that's the good. That's their Gan Eden concept, their Olam Haba. V'chi hara, and what is evil? Hu gehenom, v'hu makom boer, ba'esh, shabo sorfina, gevir, mitzdarim sham b'nei adam. And hell is literally like we hear about, in the Christian world, the hell, and there are angels, and, there's this show on Netflix now. It's called Lucifer, where it's the devil incarnate coming down to him, and he talks about what does he do, what's his job in heaven, in hell. It's to torture, physical. Again, what? We, in short, and we'll continue this, God willing, next week. In short, we believe in a spiritual, infinite kind of Olam Haba concept. We'll explain more why, but think about it. That's what makes sense. The other stuff, on some level, is cartoonish. I'm not putting down, God forbid, other faiths or anything like that. It's just, it doesn't fit in with the Jewish concept of Olam Haba, of God, and a soul. There'll be more to come. Until then, have an amazing week. Later.